Good Wednesday morning to you. This is Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, and this is your morning pastor chat. I'm glad you've tuned in today. You might be wondering what kind of a hat this is. Well, this is like a childhood favorite of mine. I wore this hat for years. In fact, I wore it so much. For some reason, I cannot remember exactly why I did this. I drilled a hole in the brim, which kind of makes sense as I look at my sons. They do similar things. They all of a sudden they're cutting something that I don't know why they're cutting it. Well, I'm seeing myself in them. Anyway, I drilled a hole in this hat, and then I hung a carabiner in it. And for a while I was into climbing, rock climbing, and I knew a rock climber, and he gave me a carabiner, and I thought, this thing is so cool. So I hung it on the brim of my hat, which was bizarre. I still don't know why I did that, but there we are. I still have the hat to prove it. So here it is. Hope you're good. You're doing well today. I hope you're seizing this opportunity to learn whatever it is that God is seeking to teach you. These odd days, the days that are not normal, there is an opportunity to learn things from our Lord that we may not have known, or we're in a position to be learning things. So take this opportunity. Perhaps you're losing sleep about stuff. I don't know. But take those moments to talk with the Lord. Perhaps you are really being shown some sin that has been hidden for a while. Take this opportunity to deal with that sin. Confess it to the Lord. Whatever it is, take this time to use it for the glory and the purpose of Jesus Christ, whatever He's teaching you and me. Well, we've been studying difficult texts. I'm in another difficult text today. It's actually not difficult, but it's often used inappropriately, or it's misused. In this case, its misuse is not, it doesn't result in like wicked theology or terrible thoughts. In fact, it's often coming from a very well-intended place. But I just want to kind of redirect and make sure that we're learning from the Word rather than good vibes, good principles, and good ideas that sometimes we have. While the concept that it's often used to signify is good, it's not what the Bible is teaching here. And the verse that I'm talking about is Matthew 18, verse 20. Here's what it says. You all probably have heard this. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them. Well, here we have Jesus speaking, and He's telling His listeners that if 2 or 3 are gathered in His name, He's with them. It's kind of a very sentimental verse, and it feels nice to think about it. If we're gathered with just a handful of people, Christ is with us. That's true, but that's not what this verse is meaning to get us to recognize. It's not meaning to give us warm and fuzzies inside, thinking, oh, the church can gather with just a few people and we can worship Him just as though it were many people. While that's true, that's not what this is saying. And it boils down to context once again. Look at what the context of this verse is sitting in. Matthew 18, starting in verse 15. And you'll quickly realize that it's talking about something drastically different than what we initially idealize it to mean. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault, between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take 1 or 2 others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3. 2 or 3. There's the 2 or 3. 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say to you, if two of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where two or three are gathered in my name, there am I among them. Do you see what this is talking about? Just at a simple reading of a larger context. This is talking about disagreements in the church. This is talking about church discipline. Not even just disagreements. This is talking about sin in the church, and particularly sins that have been committed against some individual. And essentially, without getting too much into the details here, otherwise this would become a very, very long pastor chat, what he's talking about is the process by which Jesus will affirm what is being said. In other words, if you want to find yourself on the side of Christ in a disagreement where two or three are gathered in his name, that's where he's going to be. That's where his testimony will land as well. That's what he's talking about here. If there's a disagreement, but two or three are gathered and agreeing in his name about something, and it's for his name, for the sake of his name, that's the testimony that he's going to establish. So it won't even now be an evidence of two or three. It will be the evidence of two or three with Jesus testifying. And so it is. It will be accomplished even in heaven, because Christ's testimony is what is necessary for things to take place in heaven as the firstborn son, or the Son of God, I should say. He is the one that is seated at the right hand of the Father, making the decisions. And so, he's not talking about the worship service gathering. He's talking about discipline, church discipline. When there's a sin that's committed against someone, if there are two or three witnesses gathered together in his name, that's where he will establish his testimony. That's what he's talking about. This is a weighty matter. And there are other difficult texts within this passage. In fact, there's another misused verse sitting right in there that perhaps we'll tackle in another pastor chat. But for now, I'll leave it at that. And the reality is, even if there's only one person gathered in Jesus' name, he's with us. He's always with us. So we don't have to be encouraged that, if there's only two or three, then he's going to be there. We can be encouraged if there's only one. He's with us. Always. Anyway, I love you guys. Can't wait to get back together, and I hope you are having a blessed Wednesday. And I look forward to seeing you. I'll be doing another chat on Saturday, perhaps, and for sure on Sunday, via the video camera and all that. But let's be praying together that all of this would end soon. We are still discussing exactly how and when we're going to get back to some semblance of normal. Please, O Lord, let this not be the new normal. Until next time, know that you are loved by a great and awesome God.